All right, I would like to call July 5th Planning Commission meeting to order. Please stand and do the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everyone again. We've got a good turnout tonight, looks like. And for reminders, there are agendas in the back table. There was an additional letter that was sent in, and that is on the back table as well. We have been distributed as well, so we've read that letter. But we're going to start first with reports from commissioners and staff. Commissioners, any reports? None? Staff, any additional reports? No? All right, so then we'll move on from the port to from the Board of Supervisors, Planning Committee representative. Thank you. Report from the Agricultural Advisory Committee representative.
No report.
Thank you. And with that, we'll move on to the minutes of the meeting of June 7th, 2017, the very lengthy minutes. Does anyone have any comments, concerns, or a motion?
I would move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. With that, we'll move on to public comments. You may address the commission on anything that is not on the agenda. And with that, is there any public comment? All right, seeing none, I will close the public comment. And we'll go right into the agenda item, and we'll do a report from staff.
Good evening. Sorry I choked on water right before I started speaking. We have an application from Joseph and Holly Plume for zone change RZ 16002 and tentative parcel map 16009. This application was submitted on March 14th, 2016 to the Tuolumne County Community Resources Agency for review. Here are the vision, mission, and value statements adopted by Tuolumne County, which are utilized as a guide for processing each project application that we receive in the county. The purpose of this project is to allow the division of a 16.1 acre parcel into 4 parcels and a remainder. The proposed parcels range in size from 2.1 to 6.6 acres. There is a potential of up to 8 dwelling units on the project site as proposed by the tentative map. The property is designated estate residential, which is ER, by the Tuolumne County General Plan and is currently zoned A10, which stands for General Agricultural 10-acre minimum under Title 17 of the Ordinance Code. Zone change RZ 16002 proposes to change the zoning to RE2, which stands for Residential Estate 2-acre minimum, and also O1, Open Space 1, to be consistent with the ER land use designation. The zone change will facilitate the proposed land division. The Planning Commission will provide a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors regarding the proposed zone change. The project is located at 18074 Yosemite Road, approximately 1 mile southwest of the community of Tuolumne. The site does contain that ER General Plan land use designation, which allows 1 single-family dwelling on every 2-acre parcel and also 1 secondary dwelling per parcel. The ER designation also allows agricultural uses, such as farm animals and the raising of a crop. The existing zoning on the project site is A10 currently. The project site is located on Yosemite Road, approximately 1 mile to the southwest of the community of Tuolumne. Parcels in this area of Yosemite Road range in size from 1.2 acres to 18.4 acres. The proposed parcel sizes would be consistent with the parcels in this area of Yosemite Road. Tentative parcel map T16009 proposes 4 parcels and a remainder. A remainder parcel is not recognized as a legal parcel and cannot obtain a building or other permits unless a certificate of compliance is obtained pursuant to the Subdivision Map Act. All the parcels are proposed to have driveway access from Yosemite Road for a total of 4 driveways. The area with the yellow banding is proposed to be placed into the Open Space 1 zoning for preservation of wetland habitat and oak trees in those areas. Implementation Policy 1AA of the land use element of the general plan states to provide a range of land use designation to serve the needs of the residents in the county and to provide a balanced pattern of development. The proposed zone change would be consistent with the existing ER estate residential land use designation on the project site, which would allow the full development potential of up to 8 dwelling units. The vegetation on the project site includes blue oaks, foothill gray pines, valley oaks, manzanita, toyon, one elderberry shrub, and annual grassland. A biological study was conducted on the project site, which proposes mitigation measures to ensure the most valuable portions of the wildlife habitat on the site are protected, so that all potential impacts to these habitats are less than significant. A site inspection by county staff observed the presence of wetland areas on the project site. The wetland areas include a portion in the center of the northern property boundary from pond overflow and 2 streams near the southeast property boundary. The project biologist proposed that these areas be included into the Open Space 1 zoning district to ensure protection of these wetland areas. Valley oak trees are also located in this area and will be preserved as a result of the open space zoning. The project was sent out review to adjacent property owners and advisory agencies. 40 property owners within 1,000 feet of the site were notified. 11 comments from neighbors were received. 1 was in favor of the project as proposed. 10 neighbors were opposed to the project, stating concerns such as increased traffic, increased noise from more neighbors, more residences in an agricultural area, and more wells interfering with neighboring wells. Water wells in the Sierra foothills are located in fractured rock formations which form pockets of water, similar to having a straw inside of a water bubble. Typically, each well is located in its own individual water bubble. The site is currently zoned A10, which would currently allow intense agricultural uses, and that could also have more wells. Wells for new residences typically utilize less water than intense agricultural activities. The project was subject to the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, and a mitigated negative declaration was prepared. The initial study identified potential environmental impacts. However, the project's potential impacts were mitigated to less than significant levels by incorporating these mitigation measures into the conditions of approval for tentative parcel map T16001. Topics that were addressed in the initial study include hydrology and water quality, biological resources, protection of wetlands and oak trees, land use planning, addressing neighbors' concerns, traffic and circulation, visual quality, and also cultural resources. And a study was required along with the mitigation measures to protect potential cultural resources. The project is proposing to meet the missions of Tuolumne County by increasing the number of parcels available for new residences so more people can enjoy a rural lifestyle in a healthy and safe community. The ability to construct more new residences would also aid in the creation of employment opportunities for people in the construction industry and increase sales of new home materials in Tuolumne County. The Planning Commission needs to make findings that the proposed project will not cause significant adverse impacts to the environment and that the proposed conditions of approval are proportional to the potential impacts that could be associated with this project. By implementing all the conditions of approval following approval of this project, the developer can be assured that all potential adverse environmental impacts are less than significant. The Planning Commission also needs to make findings for the proposed zone change, RZ 16002, to ensure it is consistent with the general plan, ordinance code and is also suited to the permitted uses under the proposed zoning district. The Planning Commission can recommend approval of the project, add conditions to modify the project, recommend denial of the project, or even send this project back to staff to work on any outstanding issues. Any questions?
No questions at this time? No? Okay. Thank you, Renee. Thanks for that presentation. So, at this point, if there are no commissioner questions, we'll open it up to public comment. If someone can please turn the lights back on, I'd appreciate that. So to lay the ground rules for the comments, we'll first start with those who are in favor of the project, and then we'll open it up to those who are opposed to the project. And then we will let those who want to speak neutrally about the project. And if there are people who want to speak in favor and in opposition, we will have rebuttals and surrebuttals if needed. With that, I will open it up to any of those who would like to speak in favor. One last reminder, due to the Brown Act, you do not have to state your name or who you're with.
All right, well,
you're
my name
welcome
is
to.
Joe Plume. I am the applicant. My wife and I, our names are officially on it, but really it's a family project to subdivide with my two sisters, Holly and Julie, and their husbands. So, I mean, in our vision of the project, align with the general plan of Tuolumne County. And so going forward, we have that in mind. Dividing the lots, we've split them in a way that we thought would maintain the natural integrity as best we could by utilizing driveways off Yosemite Road without doing mass grading besides house pads. And so, yeah, we try to sustain any trees we could, or going forward with construction, keep the trees and natural landscape as pristine as possible. So, yeah, we're excited about the project and looking forward to possibly, potentially raising our 7 cousins right now together out on the property. So, and as far as economy goes, we're all have starter entry-level homes now within the county. We've all grown up here, and by building out on Yosemite Road, those would be available for purchase, for outside families. So yeah, we really think it's a valuable project for the community. And I don't know, you guys have questions, or you ask questions at all, or?
Sure, go ahead.
Mr. Plum, you have a well on your property right now?
There's currently
I
one
believe.
well and
Tell me about your well, the productivity of it and so on.
We've had it tested when we purchased property. I think it was 6 to 8 gallons per minute for the well. It's on site. It services the abandoned double-wide modular that's boarded up. That's pretty much an eyesore there. We purchased the property a couple years ago. The house was basically unfit for living, but it was used for grazing purposes for the cattle that was on the property. And then as far as the well goes, and it's currently zoned ag use, and just doing some research into that and ag use versus building 5 or 6 houses on the property, ag water use would be 8 times more than residential use. So we feel like developing or zone changing from A10 to an RE2 zoning would actually reduce the potential water use on the site.
During the drought, did you see any adverse effects on your well?
We didn't own it previously. We've only owned it for 2 years, so we've only have the one data point on that. So unsure about that.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Joe? Thank you.
All right.
Oh, did you want to have one? Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ruben Churnside from Land and Structure Survey and Engineering. We provided the surveying
Pull up
services.
the microphone.
Get a little louder, please.
Sorry.
Thank
We
you.
provided the surveying services for this project. Thanks to the staff for the presentation, which was a very clear description of what was proposed. As has been shown, the layout of these parcels suits the location relative to what's in the neighborhood, and also the topography of the land. It's been laid out, as Joe said, to avoid the sensitive environmental areas. Open space has been dedicated to protect the oak woodland and wetland areas and the unnamed drainage. The potential building sites avoid those sensitive areas and significant oak trees. The proposed zoning is consistent with the general plan and also the established development patterns that are already in that area. There's been a significant amount of research and development that's gone into the preparation of this map. Several studies have been done according to the county requirements to ensure that the outcome is consistent with the county codes and state law. We would encourage the Planning Commission to approve this project per the staff recommendation.
I note that there are 4 parcels and a remainder. It seems to me another option could have been just to divide it up into 4 parcels and not have the remainder. Was there some reason why the remainder's there? Because it's going to need a certificate of compliance to ever be developed. I'm just wondering what the logic was.
It's basically just a maximization of the potential under the law.
Okay.
Any more questions for Ruben?
None.
No? Thank you.
Hello, my name's Ricky Canepa. I'm president of Canepa & Sons, Inc., and I figured should be here since wells came up.
Thank you.
I've been out to the site for them, picked the first well site, for one of the home sites, and we're going to drill that. I've done many wells in that area we've been in business forever in the county, so across the street, we're like 550 feet, it's got 100 gallons a minute. And I know Zini Lane and Hershey and them have some problem areas, but that's, every parcel's different. They say it's a pool, but it's not really. If you think of spider webs and water runs and cracks and fractures, how big they are and what feeds them. I've been in a lot of smarter people than me, and I'm telling you, you can drill a well here and 2 feet away, I've hit different stuff at different levels and more gallons a minute. So I can't figure it out. If I knew, I'd be a millionaire, But in this county, in the rural areas, we have to have water wells. We've got lots from 1/4 acres to 1 acre. There's no way to get them public water. It don't matter on the sizes. You've got to fit them. We run variances when the well runs out. And we have to do deeper seals to meet the setbacks with the new codes, and the codes get stricter as our business, is out there. But I've never found in a 2 acre or 1 acre that this well gets 100 and that guy runs that guy dry, because you get 100, you only pump 5 or 10, 15, especially with the new codes with fire sprinklers. So now we're not looking for 100 gallons a minute. We need 30 or 40 for the fire sprinkler codes, depending on the size of the homes. So what happens is we put in storage tanks, which obviously there's 280 something still out there on the drought relief fund. The drought relief fund is a lot of wells that went dry or they had troubles. So you don't need a lot of water. You pump it into the storage tank. The booster pump are variable speed pumps, so they cover 0 to whatever that fire sprinkler rating is, which is always higher than the homeowner's needs. So it covers the landscaping and the home, the home itself. So basically, I've taken a gallon a minute well at, say, 700-800 feet, and it fills 2 5,000 gallon tanks. A lot more than you think. It don't sound like much, but that stays full, and you can do the same thing. So you can do a gallon a minute, what you do with 100 gallons a minute. It's on how you do the storage and what feeds that well. A lot of the people, I read the letter from the one gentleman that was worried. He had 20 gallons a minute when he had it tested, and now he's down to 7. Well, I go out and drill a well, or Tanko drills a well, or whoever. You're there for 3 days. You're measuring the water that's shooting out with air and down into a 5-gallon bucket. You're there for 3 days. When you put a pump in it and you start doing landscaping, you're pulling water from the ground and you're using it in a lot longer periods. So that I say we got 25 gallons a minute, but realistically, you may only have 10 if you pumped it for 3 or 4 days. So, you know, when people say they had 20 and it drops down to 7, doesn't mean it went dry because of the neighbor's well going in. It means that it wasn't there to begin with. We just didn't do a longer test because nobody's going to pay us to drill a well, put a test pump in it, pump it for 72 hours like all the commercial wells have to, and really find out what that thing's making. So those are things that, you know, I'm just here to support the project because it's part of my livelihood and my kids, and, you know, see these guys be able to do what they want to do.
Any questions?
Thank you, very interesting, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, very good.
Hello, Planning Commissioners. My name is Carrie Hoy, and I'm here to represent myself and my husband, Jim Hoy. And I wanted to make 3 comments about this project. One, I'm a geologist, and I was just listening to Ricky's explanation and his analogy of the spider webs, and I think that's a pretty good way of describing it. So you can't predict what you're going to get on one well just from what necessarily from what's nearby. The other point I'd like to make about the wells is that on the existing zoning, it sounds like there could be more wells drilled than the project is planning to drill. So I think it's that helps alleviate the concern of the wells. And my last point I'd like to make is I think this is a good project because it exemplifies what my husband and I believe are good family values here. When you have a property and you want siblings to live together and you want their cousins to be able to grow up and play together, I think those are values that should be supported, and I would urge you to vote yes for this project. Thank you. Questions?
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Ron Kopp with the Business Council. I think we've heard a lot of good explanations today, you know, that this is consistent with the neighborhoods that are R2 and R5. These lots will be very compatible with that, and I can tell you 2 to 6 acre lots are, you know, there's no visual impact with the 2 to 6 acre lots when you're comparing it against 2 and 5 acre surrounding neighborhoods that have with it. The well issues have been very well covered with that. We need, in this county, you know, when we look at where, you know, you hear from a lot of people that there's a lot of developable lots out there, just go develop the other lots. Well, I can tell you when you look on the MLS and you try and go find some of those developable lots, they're very difficult to find, and most of them are very steep. So where the Plume family has a very good area that has some really good layout of the lots that they want to create this kind of family compound, we need more efficient use of the land with it, with that is compatible with the surrounding neighborhoods. That makes a lot of sense. Plume Development, when you look at that, they're going to do an excellent job. When you look at some of the work that they've done as a contractor at Black Oak Casino, they're doing the cancer center over there. They're an excellent contractor and very good at site development. So I think you're going to see that that's going to be done very well with that. So it just helps the economic development. It's compatible with what's surrounding it, and I would encourage you to support it as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any more that would like to speak in favor?
My name's Julie Yorson, and I'm in favor of this.
Thank you. Huh? Yeah.
My name is Nathan Yorston, and I'm in favor of this.
Thank you.
My name is Holly Marcourt, and I'm in favor of this project.
My name is Brent Marcourt, and I'm in favor of this project, and I would ask you to please vote yes on this. Thank you.
How about that little guy down there?
Is he coming up? He seems like he's in line.
I am Waylon Marcourt, and I'm in favor of this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Holly Plume, and I'm also in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, they're out of family now. All right.
Got them all covered.
With that, looks like we will close those who want to speak in favor, and with that, I will open it up to those who would like to speak in opposition. Well, okay. With that, I will close opposition, and any of those that would like to speak in neutrally about the project. Okay, with that, I will close public comment. And now we will go back to commissioners to ask questions to staff, talk amongst ourselves. And there is one other person in the audience if we do need to talk to Tuolumne County Environmental Health staff about wells. With that, I'll open up commissioners.
I was going to ask if Rob could come up and give us, the county's perspective on the well issue. I know we've heard Ricky's, and he's in the business, and I appreciate that and respect that, but Rob's our expert, so I'd like to hear your take on it.
Well, good evening. I think Ricky really solidified the point in regards to how groundwater works in a fractured rock formation. Typically when I do presentations, I don't use a spider web analogy. I like to use a bathtub. And essentially, if you look like in the valley, that's called an alluvial type basin. Think of a bathtub filled with halfway full of water, halfway full of sand. You can punch in as many different straws or holes into that sand and then into that bathtub, and you're going to get an equal amount of water every time until it eventually goes dry. In a fractured rock system like we have up here, take away that sand and picture tightly stacked bricks. And the water that is in those bricks is basically going to be in those joint lines. So you have to hit those fractures, or as Ricky said, the spider webs. So what we're seeing here is, regarding this project, I don't really see an impact to any of the neighboring parcels. There's been many studies that basically state that an acre separation between wells is significant and it should not have any impact. I've been on job sites during the drought where I had the ability to actually test and monitor wells that were one where I'm at and one where Commissioner Rye is. In completely different hydrology, chemistry, depth, composition, completely different. Different well gallon yields as well. So I don't see any problems with the project and the wells in that general area for this project.
Any questions?
Thank you.
No? Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it. The one thing I think I would like staff to maybe just kind of reiterate on the record, or so that everyone in the audience can hear, or those watching online, is maybe about the traffic mitigation. I know we got to read about it, kind of what's happening with traffic, and then there was a concern about traffic. So maybe can you speak a little bit to how the mitigation fees are going to work, and maybe if it is going to impact the road at all, the 4 families.
Basically, the project was reviewed by Duke York, who is the deputy director and also in charge of the roads division of the Community Resources Agency. And each residence generates about 10 vehicle trips per day, worst case scenario. And so for 8 residences, a potential of 8 residences, that could be 80 vehicle trips per day. And Duke York felt that with the current traffic on Yosemite Road, the 80 trips a day would not be significant impact for traffic. When everybody builds a new house in Tuolumne County, they're required to pay traffic impact mitigation fees to Tuolumne County, which is used to repair roads locally. And when they submit for their building permit application, they do pay those fees. And that is the mitigation that's being used for this project.
Okay, thank you, Renee. Any other questions? Peter?
Just to tag on to that, if it is 80 trips a day, being in this business, we usually use a 16-hour day as, the time when people are usually driving. You're talking 5 trips an hour, or 1 every 12 minutes. I don't think traffic's a big issue in this case.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Any more questions for staff?
No.
Talk
Commissioner?
No.
Yes.
So the one thing that we look at is the thresholds of significance. And as Peter and staff had just put it, that would not meet that threshold to be considered significant.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question on the process. There's actually two recommendations here. Do we have to vote on both?
I think so.
But you can do them all at once. You can say
Yeah.
both.
Whatever, I
Yeah.
just wanted to know if it's.
One's for the rezoning.
Yeah.
One's for the.
Mr. Chairman, certainly I wouldn't want any decision that we make to negatively impact property owners around this project. On the other hand, I don't see myself as being able to prohibit this property owner to utilize his property as he chooses, not to protect the neighbors. I wouldn't be able to do that.
Sure, thank you. Any other discussion?
One question first. So a statement was made in here, and I think Mr. Plume touched on it, that if they didn't do this and it remained 810, they could do something like a vineyard or any other agricultural pursuit, which are, in most cases, a lot more water intensive, which would in all likelihood have to drill at least the same amount of wells, if not more, to be able to provide that water. So I tend to think this is probably a better use than that would be, and that's legal right now. Thank you.
There is agricultural uses, and we have experts here about the well or wells, and this is a different type of environment than I have come from. But learning and watching and listening, agricultural uses are generally water intensive.
Thank you. Dick?
Yeah, I'd like to move approval of the mitigated negative declaration based on findings A, B, C, D, E, and F, and move approval of the proposed zone change based on findings A, B, and C.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved unanimously. And with that,
Thank
we
you,
will
sir.
close the July 5th meeting. Thank you for those who attended, and good luck, Flume family.
You're right.